Carter, it's going to be a spicy show.
Spicy. I love it. I heard you talking about meat judging, man.
Well, look, I am not joking around. Did you know that Texas A&M won the national championship in meat judging?
And by judging by my meat right now, I just checked. We got some honey barbecue chicken that is going to be straight fire, man. Nothing wrong with judging meat, baby. Let's go. Nothing wrong with that. Let A&M have their title, baby.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is Carter the Power Bryant.
Let's go.
You cannot come on this show and talk about meat judging like that. That's a pause-worthy offense.
Yeah, hey, bring on the pauses. You don't like honey barbecue chicken?
I do, but I don't talk about sticking meat in this and that like you do. I mean,
I love it. I also like that you follow through and you got the Paul Skeens hat. I like it. Happy 5th of July to you, man.
Yeah. Well, his was all white. His was all white.
Okay.
But nevertheless, I am trying to do my best impersonation of Paul Skeens. I feel like if I perform like Paul Skeens on this show every day, like he performs on the mound, we will be award winning. Like he is.
There you go. What's on your mind, man? Tell me what's up.
All right. So Carter the Power Bryant is joining us. Everybody do us a favor, though, by hitting the like and share. Carter, I gotta admit something. Listen, I feel like my life from doing this show, running AYS, is on repeat. You want to know why?
Let's hear it.
Because it seems like every single summer I hear the same exact things over and over and over again. But people completely forget when it's late June, early July, that the playing portion of the season actually has to happen.
Yeah, you got to play the games. That's the beauty of it.
I think that this is going to fuel some people.
Let's hear it.
Start talking negatively about people, they tend to fire back. Here's the question that I would have for you. Do you feel that some negative tension and that, like, look, this is just really gearing LSU up for something special?
Well, I'm curious. What negative attention?
I just feel that there's negative attention around recruiting for whatever it's worth.
Now that, yes, I agree.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So what's usually trends to football as a whole,
yeah,
right? Like it just normally goes down that route.
Absolutely.
My whole argument would be you're going to have to convince me that offensively that they're not top to bottom the best offense in the SEC.
You feel that way? You truly feel that way?
I feel you're going to have to convince me who's got the better receiving core talent-wise. If there's somebody better, they might be equal to, but better is not somewhere I'm about to go. I can't go there. When it comes to offensive line, I think that you're going to be 10 times better than what you think that people think that they're going to be.
Yeah.
What's going to happen if Lance Hurd goes to right tackle, Jones goes to right guard, and Lunsford kicks it back over to left guard? And then you have 3 potential All-American candidates on your offensive line. By the way, you didn't suck at running back last year. Oh, and by the way, your quarterback's throwing 65-yard bombs in the end zone on 7-on-7. My only thing is can you convince me that this team's not prepared to make a good run?
Yeah,
I will give the floor over to you. That was a long.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I would feel pretty comfortable saying that at every offensive position, LSU is no worse than top 5 in the SEC and probably closer to top 3. All those position groups, right? Like, obviously, Texas A&M has a really good wide receiver core. They got to put everything together. Tennessee's got a really good quarterback.
Do they have a good receiver core?
A&M, yeah, absolutely. With Moose Muhammad, Evan Stewart, Rogers.
Well, I'm kind of going off a little bit of projection. They ain't got a Malik. Evan Stewart's not
they don't have a number 1 like that. But they're going to be pretty good. And something else, if you're going to give Bobby Petrino something, he has outkicked his coverage at wide receiver for
I agree with that.
Many years. And look, they're going to have to get it all together. But overall, obviously, we're focusing on LSU here. I mean, objectively, they are no worse than top 5 at every offensive position and probably top 3. And obviously, there's been a big national debate who has the best quarterback room. Obviously, LSU is definitely a top 3 quarterback room in the SEC. I don't really think anybody would disagree with that.
Well, I want to know their criteria for that too, Carter, because are you talking about talent or are you talking about talent and experience? Because if you're talking about talent and experience, then nobody has the talent and experience that LSU does.
I agree.
Okay.
Yeah.
So are you sure that your kid at Tennessee or the kid at USC or Arch Manning could come in here right now and take over? Like, are you if the starting quarterback, if Caleb Williams, Joe Milton, and Quinn Ewers went down today, are you confident that those freshmen can lead them to a playoff?
No, I will say, and obviously this is a little bit different. I do think Malik Murphy can be good with what Texas has around him. But also just in general, no. At 1-2 with the experience that obviously Garrett has had, no starts, but a lot of experience. And then obviously Jaden has the most experience you could have in college football, him along with Bo Nix. But yeah, it's absolutely crazy when all LSU returns. And then obviously this offense, I think, is going to look very similar. Yet at the same time, I do think they'll do a few things differently.
You think they're going to open it up more?
I do, but I also
do
think I also think Mike in particular wants to do things in the intermediary a lot better. I think if you go back and listen to his one public press conference he did during spring, kind of got lost in the shuffle, Blake, because the LSU women's basketball team
was winning a national title. He did it the same day, right?
Yeah, so it was practically like kind of just sandwiched in the middle of all that. So if you actually go back, it was a 20-minute press conference. Mike is a very open, eloquent speaker. One thing he specifically said is he wants to do a better job of giving his receivers a chance to run after the catch as well. So it's not just, increasing the ADOT, the average depth of target. It's also giving the football to Malik while he's able to create positive momentum going down the field. And then obviously the other receivers as well. And then Jaden at the Manning Passing Academy actually reiterated that very similar thing that Mike said.
Almost to a T, which is a little scary if you want to.
Yeah, so they're in to use a Brian Kelly buzzword, they're in alignment, right? They want to do a better job of that. And look, one of your guys that you're really high on is Aaron Anderson. That's one of his best attributes as well, getting the football in his hands and getting him downhill so, he can do what he does with the football in his hands.
Aaron Anderson's turning too many heads right now.
Right. And, that's one of those things where, you just got to trust what you're hearing, what I've heard as well. I've heard Aaron is definitely the guy that LSU is really going to count on. But I will tell you this. There has been a lot of really positive buzz, even outside of the spring game, surrounding Kyron Lacey. And that's obviously Blake.
It's a little bit LSU's pushing that too.
Yeah, it's been heavily pushed. You can just kind of see it in social media. You kind of just hear it. I've been hearing it nonstop. And obviously, it's going to take a while. One thing that LSU fans tend to remember, and if you go all the way back, if we're turning this clock all the way back, there was a receiver from Texas by the name of Brandon LaFell. Obviously, one of the
junior year had more drops than Ricola.
It was.
Oh, that was good. That was good. Hold on. That man had more drops than Ricola. Ricola.
Okay, I love it. That was good. That was smooth. But yeah, if you really go back and turn the time machine back, one thing LSU fans, obviously interceptions is always going to be the big no-no, but LSU fans remember drops. College football fans remember drops. And Brandon LaFell, especially in that 07 run, had some
epic.
Oh God, that interception! I'll never forget it. And it took a while. He took a lot of slander, and you don't really see it because we didn't have the online society. But man, to be in the crowd after that, dude, that was one of the loudest sighs I've ever heard from a crowd. Like, what the heck just happened?
Could you have imagined what it would have been like for him if social media were actually a thing? That's why I say, dude, everybody says these players are prima donnas. Well, truth be told, they also no player in history has gone through the scrutiny that college football and NFL players go through. Like it's like you're not only getting the paper, like the front line paper, like you could read a paper and you don't know people's opinions, right, left, center. But now that Twitter's a thing, everybody knows, right? And so could you just even imagine, like, just thinking about that process for just a minute? Like that whole, like, Carter, look what we're doing. Look what we do for a living. You know, like
it's crazy. And
anyway.
and it took a lot of LSU fans were like, should we even play Brandon LaFell? And obviously it was a smart move to keep playing him because he was a prodigious talent and had a long
touchdown in the championship game. Wasn't it the first touchdown of the game he caught?
Yeah, and he had that big, like his big first moment was like the touchdown versus Notre Dame in the Sugar Bowl,
right?
From Jamarcus. I was like, wow, who is this guy? But then, you know, in that 07 run, he had that Auburn drop that everyone just remembers, and he had other, you know, obviously Butterfinger kind of situations. And
anyway, to your point about Lacey,
and then Kyron Lacey, of course, had this game versus Texas A&M that, you know, people destroyed him for. And it was just, you know, one game, but those two drops early in the game were so critical, especially considering, you know, we struggled defensively to get off the field. So, yeah, I mean, Kyron has performed really well at practice, but there are some opportunities for one of these really talented guys. And one guy you and I privately are really high on as well is someone like Kyle Parker. And obviously, Shelton Sampson.
It'll be interesting to see how quickly he gets in and on the field.
I like him a lot. I really do. He was, you know, just behind Shelton Sampson for me coming in. And as time moved on, for me, Blake, he moved closer to Shelton Sampson. Just, you know, watching him catch 23 passes in a game last year in high school, which is just crazy.
Dude, he was the most accomplished high school player that did not get the recognition maybe in the country. Kyle Parker.
Yeah, and what's crazy is like that offense he played in had two other 4-star receivers. So,
and you know what else is crazy about that? They said he didn't do good against the good teams. Well, so does everybody. Like Jamar Chase caught like 2 passes against Oklahoma. Like, don't forget that, okay? Like, don't forget that he had 2 drops in an AFC Championship game, okay? Like, come on now, dog.
I just think Kyle is really good. I do, and I think he's going to break the streak since Terrence Tolliver. There's not been an out-of-state receiver at LSU to catch 35+ balls. It's been a while. So
would you count him from out of state since they're technically from Louisiana?
Yeah, that's the thing. It's a little bit different with Kyle.
Yeah, right.
But
I feel like if you got the bloodline in you,
yeah, it's got like Harold Perkins. It's
right. Like is Harold Perkins really from Texas?
No,
you're correct. I mean, he lived more in Louisiana than Texas. I mean, the kid's not from Texas. Like, let's get that.
But watch out,
the kid's from the 504.
He's not.
People forget about Frank on that one.
Yeah, right.
We talked a lot of offense. Me and you, probably the last 2 times you've been on here. We'll talk a lot more about it. We talked about Aaron Anderson, and look, I had a lengthy article on our message board on our forum. Just go there, ayssnetwork.com. The only thing that I will say about this offense that really intrigues me, Carter, I just think their running game is going to be on the next level. Like, I really do think that we constantly talk about the receivers. We constantly talk about the running, the quarterbacks, and rightfully so. Carter, are we talking enough about this offensive line and running game? Because the way that I see it, I mean, look, people will say I'm biased because I'm a former O-lineman, and I understand that.
No.
But I think Mason Lunsford can play. Do you agree with that? Do you think the kid can play?
No, he can move people in the running game in particular, yes.
Okay, so my point, dog, your number 6 guy is Lance Hurd. You were starting Cam Wire against Florida State last year.
Right.
Okay, so my point being, you already rushed for, I think, 183.9 yards per game last year. Carter, is it unrealistic that they can get to 200?
No, I mean, look, a lot of the best offenses in college football run spread principles, but the basis of their offense is a running game. And look, LSU, they overall simplistically, they just ran basically inside zone. I mean, they did.
They weren't fancy in what they did. They ran zone, and at the end of the Carter, how many times did Jaden run the ball zone reads in the third and fourth quarter?
I mean, every now and then, but I mean, it was every now and then, but still, you are right. It was let's smash it.
They would get 2 yards, and you'd be like, "What in the hell are they doing?" And by midway through the third, aka Alabama, that man would pull the zone read and take off.
Right? Yeah.
I mean, and it was flawless. I'm from a running game perspective, I just think that they're just going to be so much better, man.
I agree. No, I agree. I think Jaden's running ability just opens so much up for this offense. And look, obviously we all want to see him, become a more complete passer, but man, as a defensive lineman, he is hell. He is hell to deal with. And I think LSU will be better suited to run the football, considering Florida State's front and their whole defense is going to be pretty solid.
From a season perspective, do you think that they can get to 200 though?
I do, but obviously a lot of it is going to be, based on game script. And I think a lot of teams are going to force Jaden to beat them over the top. I do. And that obviously
one coverage on the outside. Good luck. This team is so much better. There's a lot of dudes returning, but they're just so much deeper, which is scary to me. Like I'm there. I'm there.
That.
Okay.
I like that.
You know where I'm not there though? Defense. Okay. So listen, you know what's something that we have not really talked about a lot? I'm just assuming here. I don't know yet, but I'm assuming that Omar Spates is going to start at middle backer. Like, I'm pretty confident that that's going to happen.
No, you're right.
Okay. How much does it help Harold Perkins that he's got that kind of dude next to him? I think that Omar Spates is an upgrade from Micah Baskerville. As much as I love Micah Baskerville, it's an upgrade. How much is your elite defender bowed from having that kind of dude next to him?
It helps because it'll teach him the position a lot quicker, right? And obviously it's gonna be obviously new for Harold Perkins. I think he's gonna be spectacular at this new role. And I'm not just saying that just to say it. I really do think he's going to be phenomenal. And then obviously Omar Spates is a really productive Pac-12 linebacker. Now, the next thing is obviously, the Pac-12 defenses, Oregon State's, they had some rough goes at it. All Pac-12 defenses do. I think Omar is going to be really excited to play in the SEC, play obviously with a better supporting cast than he had at Oregon State last year. And he is going to be like the converse, Jarek Bernard Converse, coming over as an all-conference performer in a different conference. And those guys turn out to be good players in the SEC. So I think Omar's going to have a phenomenal season. I do think he's really good. And I think that leadership is going to go a long way. And they gave him that Uno, baby. It's been a while since a linebacker got Uno at LSU. So we'll see how he does.
Name a defender that played at LSU that wore one that was that bad.
Oh, that's a good question. Who?
I'm a numbers freak. Like
I'm too.
Dude runs out there with 49 and he's not a defensive lineman. Okay. Like if you're a D lineman, okay, that's pretty badass. If the dude's like playing DB or linebacker and wears 49, he sucks.
Yeah. Numbers matter, dude.
Numbers matter. Do you know, like on NCAA, the football game, I used to go and change dudes' numbers just because they sucked? Like the numbers sucked.
You should.
Like they gave Jalen Mills. You remember this? They gave Jalen Mills number 39 one year. And I'm like, that is the most disgusting number of all time. 39. It's reverse 69 if you really think about it.
Well, here's what's interesting. A jersey number will say a lot about you. Okay.
Are you an alpha dude or not?
Yes. So I'm telling you, as far as like the Aaron Anderson thing, going back to him, I know it's offensive. If you're giving him Uno,
He better show up.
Yeah, that's what I'm concerned.
Carter, but he just dog. He's dominating right now, though.
Okay, I'm just saying, if you wear Uno at LSU, you better be HIM. If you wear Uno anywhere, you
And
better
the car
be,
dudes are built different.
yeah,
You know how like in the 1970s, Chevy went from like they were hard metal, like iron, like men forged those vehicles, right?
right.
Aaron Anderson's old school.
I hope he's Himothy. I would love for him to be Himothy. Yeah, I would love it. I would
Himothy Anderson.
Himothy. I love it. But yeah, here's my thing about single digit numbers. If you are not a playmaker, take it off. It's not.
I mean, Jonathan Giles was the best player in practice of all time.
Obviously,
He
for
won
Ed
number
Orgeron,
7.
for Ed Orgeron.
In fairness, he's not Ed isn't wrong. I mean, I guess I could say it now.
No, he was wrong. You don't give 7 to somebody that's.
Oh, no. I meant like about Jonathan Giles in practice.
No, he was right. Giles was,
was
like beast mode.
I'll say this now, like during the Ed Orgeron era, I used to get the copy films, okay, like coach's copy films from practice, and he's sitting there in the back, Mawson Grant Delpit for crying out loud, and so I'm like, good googly moogly. The dude puts on 7, runs into Death Valley, and he becomes completely ass, dude.
And if people say jersey numbers don't matter, that's a good example of it. It's the number 7 allure swallowed him whole. Because if you go look at even when he was at Texas Tech,
Patrick Mahomes was hitting the back of the end zone against LSU.
Dude, he was him, dude, at Texas Tech. But you put a single digit on in the SEC, it's different. It is different.
All right. So we talked a little bit about linebacker. I think Omar's going to have a good one. I think Greg Penn, body-wise, pause, looks different. I'm really intrigued by him.
Yeah.
Defensive back. Is that the biggest question mark? It's got to be, right?
Unquestionably, yes. Obviously, how they rotate and who plays where in the defensive line is going to be interesting. And how Matt elects to actually play the front is going to be interesting. But really the secondary is.
Do you think that they're more overall talented this year than they were last year?
And in the secondary?
In the secondary.
No, I don't.
You don't think they're more talently, athletically gifted? You do not.
No, because we know Jarek and Gardner were really good players for LSU last year.
You don't think athletically Denver Harris is better than them?
Oh, no. As far as like ceilings, I would agree, especially J.K. Johnson. I mean, he runs like the wind.
Okay, so I think that's what I'm trying to ask.
Okay. No, yeah, absolutely.
Talent-wise. So, Carter, this kind of goes to not your argument, but the overall argument at times is experience better at times than talent.
Yes.
I agree.
Absolutely.
I 1,000% agree.
It also just kind of like with Spates, even if you don't think he can play and you think the SEC thing is just going to be too big, he's been in big games. He's played a lot of football. So go on. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
I just think that my question would be, can they play in a cohesive way in unit? Because I think if they can, I do think from a ceiling perspective, they are better.
Okay. I'm fine with that. I hope you're right. I hope you're right.
That does not mean that they can. It does not mean that they're going to be better.
Right.
Okay. So my question would be, if you have all that talent in that room, do you think that the coaching staff who showed that they can get a unit from the portal last year ready, do you think they can get this one ready?
I do. I think the secondary does have enough for a CFP run. And obviously all the great LSU teams had elite secondaries. There's not a single one that wasn't great. And a lot of their mediocre teams had issues there. And by mediocre, 8-9 win compared to 10, 11, 12. I think obviously Andre Sam coming in is going to help. Once again adds another adult in the room. Obviously,
Blake Brooks is also an adult in the room,
right? But you kind of know what you're going to get from those guys. Obviously, the big wild card here for me is a guy that you like a lot as well is Toviano, right? He adds a certain type of athleticism and a certain type of upside to this unit that could take them to the next level. And obviously, the one thing I like about Toviano is his high school team asked a lot out of him. When I went back and watched their games, and now this guy I feel is one of the most versatile players on the team, right? In terms of asking him to play special
play
teams.
safety or corner if you need him to, boundary or slot.
Yeah, and I feel comfortable enough for him to play big time Power 5 Division I football straight out. I do like him. Now, there's obviously, if he does become a big piece of what they do next year, there's going to be rough spots. There is for every true freshman defensive back. But
you can't expect him to come in and not miss a couple things.
Right. And I think he's really good, and I think he's going to play a lot. I really do. Some of that is just, stuff I've been hearing, but just watching him, you could just tell he is a big time defensive back. Now, obviously, with Andre Sam coming into the mix, that does change things rotation-wise, and they gave him a single-digit number as well. So, yeah, it should be interesting, but I really do like Javian Toviano and some potential big plays from him next year.
All right, last question for you. D-line, how do you feel?
I'll let you go first.
I'll play rock, paper, scissors for you.
All right, I'll go first then. You asked me.
Now let's play rock, paper, scissors. Ready?
There you go.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. All right, you go first.
Oh no, I won. So you have to go first. You gotta go.
Oh. Okay. Do you have enough on the defensive line to get pressure without Harold Perkins? Can you get to the quarterback from the interior? So let's call it what. Look, I'm just going to call it what it is. You ready? We have sucked in the interior defensive line since 19. Sucked. You know it. You know it.
That's strong. It's juicy.
We have sucked at that position. Carter, you know that. Like we've stunk.
We've done this debate before. I wouldn't say sucked.
That's probably harsh.
Especially when you're locked in a four.
It has been the most underperforming unit at LSU. Is that better words?
Relative to expectations, I can agree with that to a certain extent. Yes. But I will say this. Mason as a pass rusher was really good. Okay.
At what point I'm with you. And I think he has All-American written all over him. I believe in him. Carter, he's had more games injured than games played.
Agreed.
Okay. So again, you could find yourself in week 7 starting Jalen Lee. Now, I think that's a massive plus because he can hold the fort down enough to when the dude gets back. You add depth there. You didn't have that. Can Quincy Wiggins give you something? Can Deshaun Womack give you something? But for me, you have shown at that position week 12 against A&M when they line up in 12 personnel, you're going to get your teeth kicked in.
Yeah, I still have scars.
Okay, so we can look. I'll never forget this argument as long as I live. I think you were in this Twitter Spaces, which I don't go on those anymore. They've become too chaotic. When Florida State played Dookie Kane, a.k.a. Duquesne, in week 0, everybody's like, yeah, they had 400 yards, but it's against Dookie Kane. Carter, I don't care who it's on. I don't care if it was against a junior high team. They ran for 400 yards against other human beings. Okay?
Yeah.
You're running the football. When Mason Smith went down, you were in trouble. I think Jordan Jefferson, not the quarterback, gives you more depth than you know. I think if you're sitting here 11-0, you're going to talk about the receivers. You're going to talk about everything, quarterback, running backs, whatever, Harold Perkins, whatever. My thing is, if you get there, it's because you've added massive depth along the defensive line.
Right. And I think obviously Womack is a huge
massive piece.
Massive piece. Man, I hope. I've gotten to know this guy. I've not talked to him in a few weeks since he's been on, but I've gotten to know Ovi Agufu a good little bit. This is a guy who's
from Texas, just so if people
right. So
recognize the name.
He's a jack linebacker. He's probably going to start. They gave him the number 2, so he gets a single digit as well.
Is there more sicker edge rusher than wearing number 2?
I'm telling you, there's nothing like it.
All right, continue.
No, but look, obviously Ojulari was that guy. You know, the Auburn game changed with Ojulari, and he was a big piece of the Mississippi State win and a lot of other games, and we relied on him pretty heavily. Can Ovi, obviously, as far as like just upside, it's going to be hard for him to match what Ojulari can do as a bender, but can he give you some really good pass rush games here and there? I will say Ovi's best game last year was against Alabama. Yeah, and he broke down all his different pass rush.
First sack of the game.
Right. And he broke, as a former pass rusher myself, he broke down a lot of different things, how he studies tape, how much
you hit him with that spin move, Connor. Is that what you were doing?
Dude. I loved them all, man. I loved them all. I had no size. So
you're on one tonight.
I'm telling you, worthy comments. But yeah, I think obviously, you know, back to the big time athletes here. Ovi has a lot of experience. Obviously, you know, coming in playing for Brian Kelly before, he is really rejuvenated. You know, coming back to play for BK, and if he could just give you a little bit more bend in his game, because he's a really solid, consistent player. Watch out. Hopefully that actually happens. And we all know Harold Perkins, if given the opportunity next year, and he's going to have his opportunities to rush off the edge, rush as, you know, just a spy backer. We know what Perk's going to be able to do. So the pass rush, like you said, Blake, you've been harping on your show for quite some time. It's got to get better, and I do think it'll get better.
All right. That's Carter the Power Bryant. It's good to have you back. I'm sorry we didn't have you back. It was just tough with baseball and not going on the normal times. It was
no. Tell me this. I've never seen anyone get as many hat compliments. Your chat has just been just
they're going off with Jordan says Blake is swag jacking. If let me just say this, if I'm swag jacking any LSU athlete right now, I'm glad it's Paul Skeens.
Exactly. I think Paul's happy. I think Paul's happy for you.
You know what I'll do?
Go ahead.
If his thing's still open for the vets, because I'm wearing this hat, I'll donate to it right now.
Oh, what's the name of the organization?
I'm going to have to go find it out. Somebody in the chat might be able to help me. I'll go donate right now to it.
That's crazy how much money he's raised. But I saw that Jay Johnson tiger emoji. I was like, oh man, we're cooking already. Portal. I immediately went to. I think
you should hold on to that question until next week.
Let's get to it, Jay.
Holds of honor.